pattern, this is another size 12. This is a sedge hook from Arex. So it's kind of like a stimulator hook. And I'm just going to start for this pattern. It's going to have hackle in the front, so I'm going to use the hook as a gauge for where, because I want these proportions just right. So I'm going to start my thread about a third of the way down the hook. That's just a visual guide for myself. Go ahead and wrap that back. Take my thread a little ways down the bend of the hook. And any dry fly dubbing will work. This is another of that Beaver Plus, which has the Antron in it. If anybody has any questions, just feel free to shout them out. But I'm just going to wrap this up towards that tie-in point, and I'm going to try to taper it as I go along so the body gets a little bigger.
What is that dubbing?
Pardon?
What is the dubbing you're using?
So it's made by Hemingway's, and it's called Beaver Plus, and it's a mixture of beaver hair. I mean, you can. It's a real buggy. Sometimes you get those buggy guard hairs in, but it's a mixture of the beaver hair plus Antron. So the Antron gives it a sparkle, and it's going to help it float. Okay, so now that I've gotten up to my tie-in point, I can go ahead and cover up the rest of the hook with thread. And I'm going to take 3 CDC feathers and attempt to line them up. This is going to be the wing. It's about lined up, and I'm going to measure those out so they go just to the bar, just to the bend of the hook, maybe just a titch further. And when you tie in CDC, it has a tendency to want to roll on you, so I'll tend to position it slightly towards myself, because those first couple wraps of thread, it wants to rotate on top of the hook. So if I've got a couple wraps in, it's still going to want to rotate, but if you put a couple, lift up the butts, and now you can see it's holding and it's not going to rotate. But this is going to, so I don't know if you can see, that's got that caddis profile. That's what I'm looking for. Go ahead and clip those off. Now we can cover up the rest of the butts. Okay, and this is pretty much completely unnecessary, but I feel like it gives it a little bit of kind of balances the fly from a visual perspective. And so I'm going to tie in a couple of antennae, and these are just hackle stems off the side of a cape that I'm probably never going to use because the feathers are way too big for me, for what I'm doing with them. So I'm going to tie those in with a couple of loose wraps, and then you can try to separate them and position those, maybe. And once you've gotten them about in the right spot, then you can go ahead and cover them up. Clip those off, and these will last you for 3 flies probably, just with a pair. Okay, so then I'm gonna find, even though this is a fairly large size 12 hook, I'm actually gonna really undersize the hackle on this. So I'm looking for something that's probably about an 18. Because these sedge type caddis, they don't have like a real, I want that slender, more of a slender kind of a profile to the fly than a real big hackle at the front. And wrap that forward and clip off your tag end. And then we're just going to wrap this. That up to there. You've got to save yourself a little bit of room because I'm going to whip finish under those antennae. That helps prop them up a little bit. Put a wrap under the antenna and then just reposition these, and if they're a little long, give them a trim. So I don't know that this has a name, I just call it a CDC sedge. So dress that with a little like some loon loxa floatant, and that'll float really nicely for you. And that the antenna probably help. I didn't use some people use like a mallard flank feather for their antennas, but those things are so fragile. They're just going to come apart instantly. That's why I liked using those hackle stems for the antenna. But again, those are probably completely superfluous. I don't think fish are drawn to antenna, but